Gray save, which is different from my Rocky Darling save, and then my Rocky Cap save. In my Rocky Cap save, you guys know that I'm married to Tybalt Cap, but my name is still Rocky Darling. Like, it's still me. I'm still playing as myself, but in different universes. And then in my Rocky Darling universe, I have my same last name, but that's the save where I have horses. I live on a ranch. That's how my dynasty goes and things like that. The story is different save to save. My Sage Gray save, because as I said before, I created the Sage Gray save because as a creator, I'm respectful to the story that I'm creating. The characters take on a life of their own and they have a specific projection, you know, and I had new packs that I added, specifically the Nature Living pack, which comes with the fairies. And I love the fairy pack, and I love being a fairy. So, and I really wanted to be a fairy, but it didn't fit my Rocky Darling save with my horses, nor did it fit the, I call it it's marked as wizard and vampire because that's where I added the households that I first had when I was on a different account when I first started playing Sims about 3 years ago, Sims 4 anyways, 3 years ago. So the family those families that I had when I was on a different save, I brought over through the gallery, and I have that marked that that's the save that they're in, and that's where if I do play with them again, it'll be in that save. But in quotations, it's Rocky Cap because that's the bloodline that I'm carrying on. So in Sage Gray, my name is Sage Gray, which is my professional name, so I'm still playing as myself. But this is like my alter ego, my alternate universe self. And I also really like the Werewolf game pack. I do have notes. I do feel that we needed significantly more plots than we got because they only gave us two. Well, actually, they only gave us one open plot, which was this one. But you could move in here. You'd have to build something here, but you could move in here, you could move in here. This is where the Volkovs live. This is the library, and then this is the bar. So it was weird how they decided to do the werewolf and the vampire game pack. It was as if they didn't expect you to want to live in the world, you know? Like, they was like, it's just a tiny little neighborhood, but nobody's gonna live here. It's weird. So that being said, as Sage Gray, I'm not a vampire, excuse me. I'm a fairy, and I wanted to marry Volkov because he just has a soft spot in my heart. So, but I also, like I said, wanted to play however I wanted to play. So at first, when I first moved in, I lived in Ondarian because that's what I really like this neighborhood. I think it's really neat how they did it. And I moved in here. This is where I lived, in this apartment unit, because I've never gotten to live in an apartment before. I don't have for rent, and I don't plan on getting it. So it was really fun living in the apartment. Actually, I loved it. And what's his name? Thebes. No, his last name's Abrantes. Thiago, that's what it is. Thiago Abrantes, him and I had a child. And in my mind, I was like, okay, I'm going to have a child with whoever I want to have a child with. And they'll raise the child, you know, because if I raise a child, I'm going to be a great parent and I'm going to do it right. And again, it's going to be like a real save that I have, where I have other responsibilities and other focuses where I can't just literally just play, like be as reckless as I want because I have other connections, you know, so. But then me being me, as morally driven as I am, you know, he lived with his dad, but, you know, he lived in with me, and then Thiago did a stay over, and he stayed with me for a few days. And then my child he just went back and forth between my household and Thiago's household. And then eventually I moved my son in with me. And then Thiago moved in later after I moved out, because I didn't want to give up my apartment. Like, I spent a lot of time in that apartment growing as a fairy and things like that. So I have things a certain way, and I didn't want to give up the apartment. So I moved Thiago in. And him and Cordelia had already broken up, and depending on your gameplay, they probably have broken up in your world too, because based on the story, they're not actually together because Cordelia loves him. She's trying to, you know, hide the fact that she's 300 years old. So, and I think in this save, Cordelia passed away because I can't find her anywhere. And her son, who's a toddler, who she had with Thiago, actually a small period of time after my son that I had with Thiago, was living by himself as a toddler. So I'm guessing she definitely passed away. But so I just moved that son because that's also Thiago's son. I just moved him in as well. You can see he's a tiny little one. He's the little guy. Oh my goodness, my son's an adolescent. Ow. I just dropped my elbow. When I was here yesterday, like last night, he was still a toddler. So that's wild. Okay. But he's an adolescent now. I'm gonna have to go in and connect with him again as he's an adolescent. I want us to have a good relationship, obviously. And I'm gonna have to redo his outfits. That way he's fashionable and cute. Okay, so I can't believe Thiago's not home. He done left our children home alone. And then, being a fairy, I also had a son. Now I'm thinking about it, I only have 2 kids and they're both boys. I also had a son with Greg, Greg over here. And I was trying to figure out how to save him because another weird thing that I think is odd for the Werewolf Game Pack, but the vampires have a vampire lore. It's an actual skill because they have books attached to the vampire lore and you build your knowledge of vampires. Now, Moonwood Mill has werewolf lore, a lot of it. It's very interconnected, very cool story, but there's no skill for the werewolf lore, which I think is an oversight because you have books associated with them. As you build your knowledge, you learn real things, like you learn the cure for being a werewolf, and you learn this other drink as well. You make them both at the mixology table, and the moon changes and you can get what is the moon petal flower, which blossoms only on the full moon, only up here at this peak up here. And so I think it's really odd that that we don't have a werewolf skill, like a werewolf lore skill. And I also think it's weird that this neighborhood isn't very large, but I married Volkov and we're gonna expand our family, not just our family, but I respect the fact that with packs it comes to family, so everyone in the pack has a key to the house, so that way they can come in as they want, because this is technically their home too, because they're part of the pack. Now, when I moved in and kept everyone in the household. Lily, Jacob, Kristoph, that's what I call him, Kristoph, which his whole name's Christopher, but I call him Kristoph, and myself. Now, last night, I moved Lily into this house because I needed somewhere where all of the pack were gathered, So DeMarco, I got her. She's the one that you see on the front of the werewolf pack, but she doesn't actually come in the werewolf pack. But Maxis did upload her to the gallery, which I found out, and so I dropped her into the world, into this house. Only just last night I moved in Wilder and Lily, because I wanted to make sure, because Lily has the alpha, the werewolf skill where you don't die unless an accident. So I wanted to move her out of the household just to make sure that she stayed alive. I didn't want any accidents to happen, because since she was in a playable household now, so I moved her to a household where she should be safe. That's why. So now it's me, Jacob, and Kristoph, and eventually me and Kristoph are going to have our own little babies that may be a werewolf or a vampire, unclear. And Jacob eventually is going to get married, because Kristoph, as you follow the lore, you find out that Kristoph is grooming Jacob to take over the pack. So Jacob will be alpha. Kristoph wanted a dynasty of his own, so we did that last night too. And Jacob is the heir, so he'll take over everything, which means at some point he's going to have to find his soul mate or his wolf mate. The terminology. He's going to have to find his mate. And I have a couple of prospects in mind that I think he'll like, but it's up to him. If he doesn't like them, then we'll find somebody else, but it's up to him. And so I need somewhere to expand, because I want, a neighborhood. That's why it behooved me that we have such little plots, because I want a neighborhood where, all the pack lives together. We're neighbors, because we're a family. It's weird for them to be all out and all over the place. So, and I also wish that these are 3 things. 1, I need more plots. 2, the werewolf lore should be a skill. 3, when it comes to being a wolf in a pack, that is your family. You may not be blood linked, but that is your family. So when it came to the dynasties, I think you should be allowed to add the wolf members of your pack to the dynasty, because technically you're family. That's how werewolf packs go. Furthermore, in terms of the family, I wish there was somewhere because there's no mechanism for it where, you know, you could look at the list of members in your pack, you know, to keep track. You know, when you look at your sociology and you're looking at your relationships and you have the list of all different types of relationships, you even have work relationships. Like there's work relationships, your romantic relationships, family, household, and friends, and all of the others. There should be one for your pack. So that way I can look and see every member as part of the pack. Because like, what if I forget and there's over like 8 members, you know, number one. Number two, in the werewolf note, it just notes that you're in a pack, and it notes who the pack leader is and what your standing is. It doesn't tell you everyone that's in the pack. It doesn't break it down who's in the pack and, you know, your relationship to them and what their ranking is in the pack, and it should. I think that also was an oversight, 100%, those 3 things. So, since there's no space in Moonwood, obviously, because I'm not going to knock down the Volkov house, obviously. I'm not going to knock down the library, and I'm not going to knock down the bar. Greg lives here with our son that he had with Sage, you know, because in the story, it's so cool, the lore. You know, Greg is a wolf, and he was more animalistic than Kristoph's parents, which became a point of resentment between them because Greg was jealous that as time went on and for them being werewolf, the Volkov, which is Kristoph's parents, they got better at being a werewolf. It came naturally to them, the control, where Greg struggled with control every time. And what kept him in his humanity was the fact that Greg married a woman who I don't think was a werewolf. If she was, she didn't have outbursts that he had. But I don't get the feeling that she was a werewolf. I don't get that feeling. So from what I've read from the werewolf books and the lore, I didn't get that vibe that she was a werewolf. So they got married, but she passed away, and a lot of his friends were killed in the war between the vampires and the werewolves, and which is why Greg became full, you know, the monster that Greg is, because he kind of lost his humanity after losing so much, including his wife. But as you read through the lore, it seems that Greg would take, even though he loves being a werewolf and he thinks being a werewolf is great, but he feels, when you find his diary, he mentions that he sees no point in being a wolf and being a monster because he feels like there's nothing left for him with his wife being gone. So I feel like it makes sense for him to be human, but it felt weird. It felt weird if it makes sense to give him the cure when I can't ask him. There's no prompt, you know, to talk to Greg, because it comes up when you're reading the lessons about the werewolf pack to have the ability to soothe Greg, to calm him, to build a bridge between you two. You know, it seems like that comes up, and even it's something that Kristoph says. You know, it comes up as a prompt, like there should be a way for you guys to soothe him. So I would assume that there was a prompt. I'm not sure where it is, but I would assume that there'd be a prompt, you know, to ask Greg, like, you know, do you want to calm down? Do you want to take the cure? Do you want to build an allegiance? But again, there isn't one. But there's a dialogue within the game and instructions within the game as if there should be one. So it felt weird to like add him to my household and make him take the cure. I felt like I was doing it without his consent. So I couldn't do it. So I just moved him into a house. Yes, he still technically genuinely is in this house with this child, and he does still populate over here. It's not a different Greg. It's the same Greg, which I think is cool. So he also will never die, and I think that's kind of neat too. So last night I was wondering what world to pick. You know, I know Newcrest is a basic like empty world, and you can like add whatever you want and so on and so forth. Unfortunately, you can't rename it, which I think is odd that we can't like rename them, you know, because I'd get it if I was like a playtester and I was playtesting it and you'd be like, okay, don't rename it now. But like once it's like on my computer and it's like my save and I'm playing it, I might as well be able to rename it. So, and it feels too bright, Newcrest. I feel like the world that has like the right landscape is San Sequia. That's what I think. I think this has like the right landscape with like the water and the trees and all that. I like it. I feel like it works. It has its own lore, but it's not so deep in lore that I'd feel like I'd be encroaching, you know? It has a library. The vacation spot can be changed to residential. It has a library, a celebration center, and all that. And the families that come in this pack that live here, they moved. You know, there's only like one that's still here, which is not this one. They're still here. Everyone here either passed away or moved. I don't know. These are Sims I created, and funny enough, Luna